Hey, how's it going? And today this is a little bit more advanced tutorial, but this is on how to create a flying platform with your character on it, or at least to give the illusion of your character being on it. And so we're basically using like a stand-in character for the player character, and we end up with something that looks like this. And this is just kind of a working prototype, and you can tweak this all you want. Normally this would probably be triggered by a trigger box, but here I'm just triggering it with a keyboard press. So that's our flying platform. So the idea is that we've got this, third person player character here running around and doing the usual stuff. But then there's this flying platform, and so he comes over to it, and he could trigger it with a trigger box. In this case, I'm just going to do a 1, and then I'm on this platform, and I hit W, and then I can fly all over the scene or wherever I want to go, travel around here. And then when I'm ready to land, I would come down here, and there'd be a trigger, could have a landing spot or something that I need to return to. But I'm just going to trigger that with a keyboard press 2. And so I hit 2, and then I'm off my flying platform, and off I go. And that's the whole thing. And I think this is pretty cool. I think this is better than the idea of this character himself flying like he's Superman or something. This is, I think, a lot more realistic. So I come over here to the platform again, click 1, and then I'm flying around, hit 2, and I'm off, and I kind of leave the platform where it was parked. So there's just a lot of things you can do with this, but this is just kind of the basic concept, and then you can go from there. So I'll be back in just a minute to get started with this. Okay, I'm back and we're ready to get started on this. So let me just explain real generally what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working from the third person player character, then we're going to create a pawn. And basically what's going to happen is when we get to the platform, I'm going to press 1, I'm going to switch to the player pawn, fly around, and then when I want to get back to the player, so 1 will get me into the pawn, 2 will get me back into the player character. And then we're using 2 figures because I couldn't get a animated mannequin onto the platform, so it only seemed to work with a static mesh. So we're doing a little bit of trickery here, but I think it's worth it. I think it works out better than this kind of fake flying character. The first thing is we're going to create our body double, basically. So we'll go into our mannequin here, we'll go into animations, we'll go into Quinn. And you can choose any animation you want for the stand-in character, but I just think an idle should be fine. So, and I just did a tutorial about how to pose a character in a static mesh. So with this animation sequence selected, we're going to double click into it. I'm just going to go ahead and dock it. This is the pose that we want. So we'll go create asset, pose asset, current pose, and I'll just leave it called SK mannequin pose asset. I'm going to put it on the content level. It goes into that right away. You'll see we've got this weight value. I drag it to 1, and that's the pose we want. And then we just go make static mesh. And so I'm going to call this SM underscore Quinn and save. And that's our body double stand-in for our rig. The second thing we're going to do now is I'm going to go into the third person template here, and this is where we'll do the rest of our work. And what I want to do now is we're going to start from the blueprint character side, but I want to bring the pawn into existence first. So just to do that real fast, I'm just going to right click. I'm going to go to blueprint class. I'm going to come down here to all classes, and we're going to search for default pawn class, this one. And we want this one because it comes with a movement component in it. We'll go select, and we're just going to call this BP underscore pawn, and this is the one that's going to be flying around. And then once we have it in existence, now we'll do some more work in that in just a few minutes, but right now we're going to go into our blueprint third person, double click it, dock it up here. Now the main thing to think about right now is that this player character in the game mode that we are is the player controller is in control of this. So this is where the action basically starts. So I'm going to drive this off of a keyboard press, but you could use a trigger box or whatever, but I'm just using a keyboard press kind of in the interest of time, and we're just going to do that. But this, like I said, this could be driven off of a trigger box placed in the scene. Like there should maybe be like a landing zone for the platform, but I'm not going to build all that. So the first thing we're going to do here is, now that we've created our pawn, is I'm going to drag off of here, and I'm going to go instead of casting, I don't like casting that much. We're just going to go get actor of class right here. And we're just going to get our BP pawn that we just built, created. And then off of that, we are going to possess it. So we've got to get our player controller, get player controller, and off of here, we're just going to go possess, just like that. And this plugs in here, the return value goes in there, and this goes in there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to destroy our actor. So we're going to right click and go destroy, because once we're on the platform, we can't have the player character in existence anymore. Well, we could turn the visibility off, but it's easier just to destroy it. It's the simplest and easiest thing to do, is just destroy it. And we're going to come back here and play around with visibility at the very end as the last step, but I'm not going to do that right now for the moment. So that's really all we have to do in here. So anyway, I'm going to go back in this level. Now I'm going to go into the BP pawn, and this is where most of our work is going to take place. Now, one of the things that I learned in doing this is that we basically want to create all of our assets first, make sure they're set up and aligned, and then we'll parent everything to make this work. So the first thing we're going to do is, you can turn this off. I'm just going to leave it in the scene for right now. And we're going to create 2 static meshes. So the first thing we're going to do is come in here to go add and a static mesh, and it doesn't really matter what it's called, but I'm just going to call it platform, I guess. I don't want it as a child of anything, so I'm just going to drag it up here. I want everything on the same level for right now. And then what we're going to search for here, you could use anything you want, but I'm just going to search for a floor. This is what seemed to work the best for me. So this floor, we can scale this up. So with that platform selected, we're just going to make it a little thinner. And like I said, here's where your creativity can come in, because this could be literally anything that you want it to be for the platform, for the flying platform. So, but I'm just using this floor mesh for right now. Okay, so there's that. Then we're going to go and add another static mesh. Click here. And again, we don't want it parented to anything, so we'll just make sure everything's on the same level. And now we're going to add our SM Quinn here. SM, the search for it, I mean, Quinn. And here it is right here. And see the size of it in relationship to the platform. So we don't want anything parented while we're doing these initial adjustments. So we're going to turn it this way, I believe 90 degrees. So let's just go and see what this looks like in the scene. So we're going to drag this into the scene. And this will be, if I hit F, and like I said, this could be anything, but this is just our flying platform. And we could turn the visibility of this off if we want, but that looks pretty good. So the last thing we're going to add now, go back into the pawn, is we're going to add our camera. So go camera, add a camera here. Just hit the space bar. I'm trying to bring it up. Oops, I don't want it parented to anything yet. So, but I lost my name. So I'll just call this cam. And then on the location, I'm just going to drag it up here. And you can adjust the position of this. I'm not sure what this is going to look like. This looks like it's going to be our viewpoint. So maybe we want to come down a little bit more than that. So, and you can adjust the field of view on here and all different kinds of things. And maybe I want to back it up a little bit so we can see a little bit more. So let's just see what that looks like. Maybe come down a little bit more. I think I have too much headroom. So maybe right there. You just play around with this. Yeah, I think this is good. So there's not necessarily any right or wrong on these particular settings. We've got our components in place. Now here's the main thing. We want to child our platform to the camera there, and then our static mesh Quinn here to the platform. So we got the camera, they're all children of the camera. And this way, when we move the camera, all these other components move with us. There is one setting on the camera that we need to adjust. It's very important. It's called use pawn control rotation, and we'll click that and compile and save. And let's see what, if I hit play, if any weirdness happens. No. So there we go. Okay, so we're going to toggle off the visibility of these two characters, and you'll see that in a minute. Okay, so we're good. So now here on the BP pawn, we're going to go into the event graph. And the first thing we need to do is be able to have input on here. So we're going to get player controller here. And then we're going to go here and enable input and put that into there. So we do that. Okay, so once we've got the input enabled, what we're going to do is now we're going to unpossess and get back to our third person player character. So we're going to search for keyboard press, and we're going to make it on a 2. And here we're going to get our player controller. I can just get another one. So I don't have wires crossing all over. Get player controller, and off of here we're going to search for unpossessed. Right, like that. And we'll just drag this into here. And then what we're going to do is just spawn in a new player character, the same as if the player character had died. So we'll go spawn actor from class right here. And we're going to set that to our BP third person character right there. We do need a location for this. So what we're going to do is we're just going to right click here, split this pin, promote this to a variable, compile, and save. And you could create like a, I don't know, a launch pad or base for this platform, but I'm going to just set the player controller location. So I'm going to go copy this, come back in here, right click over here, and paste in the location of our player start right there. And then just like we did before, we've got to tell the player controller to take possession of the third person. So we're going to go get player controller again, get player controller, and here we're just going to go possess. And the return value goes in here, and this goes in here. Now, so I don't get confused, I'm going to go back in here to the third person, and what we're going to do is turn on the visibility. So let's go into our BP third person here, and what we're going to do is click on the static mesh for the player, this mannequin, the stand-in, and we're going to search for its visibility, and we're just going to turn it off by default, and we know it's there. And then we're going to come in here, and once we take possession of that pawn, we're going to turn its visibility on. So off of here, we're going to get static mesh, this one here, and this is for our static mesh Quinn, and we're just going to go set visibility. So we're going to turn the visibility on. So it's by default, it's off. When we take control of it, we're going to turn it on. So that takes care of that. And then over here on the pawn, when we're done flying, we're going to come into the event graph here and get our static mesh and set its visibility, turn it back on. Right? Is that right? We turn it on, we're going to turn it off is what we're going to do. So set visibility, set visibility. So it's going to be off, on, and off. So here we go. Set visibility, and we're turning it off again. And then we'll be back in our third person template. So that should be it. That's the whole enchilada there. Let me delete these. These are kind of in a way here. Okay, so just walking through this real fast. We'll start in the beginning. So we'll be in our third person player character. We'll press 1. We'll take control of our flying pawn. We'll get it. We'll take control of it. Then we're going to destroy the BP third person so we don't see it. And then we're going to turn the visibility of our Quinn standing character on. Then when we're done flying around, we're going to press 2. We're going to unpossess the pawn. We're going to spawn in a new BP third person. And then we're going to turn the visibility of the static mesh off. So let's see if this works. So I'll hit play. And so I'm in here doing whatever I'm doing. And then I see over here there's like a flying platform thing, right? So I come over here. It's supposed to be set by a trigger. I'm just setting it with a keyboard press. I press 1, and then I hit 1, W, and I'm flying around on this magic platform. Everything's cool. I do whatever I need to do. But then I got to return this to its base where the trigger is. So let's say this ramp is the trigger. And then automatically I would go back to the third person player character. But in this case, I'm just going to hit 2. And see, I'm back to the third person player character. And then if I want to fly again, I come over here. I hit 1. Back to flying. And you could maybe add a little jitter to this thing so that it's not so noticeable that the player character is not really moving. And then you hit 2 again, and I'm back to the third person player character. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I feel like this is a creative way of creating a flying platform for your character. So take care and please subscribe if you're so inclined. I do really appreciate it.